Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This video is for subject ECM 366, and in this video we are going to cover chapter 4, cost estimation of major elements of the construction industry. This slide shows the cost outcome and program outcome, and this slide show lesson outcome. Basically in this slide the content is the first one, introduction, and then we have cost estimation for building works, and lastly we have cost estimation for civil works. Next, we look at objective of estimating. Number one, give prior indication of the economic viability of a particular project. So viability means to look at the prospect of the project, whether it has a good prospect or not. Number two, to provide the most realistic prediction possible of time, so that we can do some preparation if we have the prediction. Number three, to make decision whether to proceed with the project or not, and then help establish data for the purpose of comparing from one proposal to another. And lastly, have a new design to reduce the cost of the project when the original design is found uneconomical. This slide shows the stages of estimating. So the first stage we have preliminary estimate, then we have appraisal estimates, next is proposal estimate, and then we have approved estimate, next we have pre-tender estimate and post-contract estimate, and lastly we have a chief estimate. So this estimation is based on the stage of the project. The definition of every stage of estimation is provided in this slide, and continue with this slide. Then the types of estimating technique. The first one we have global technique. Number two we have factorial technique. Number three is man-hour technique, and number four unit rate, and lastly is operational technique. For every estimation that we will make, it will cover three main elements. The first one is the cost of materials. For example, if we do estimation for construction of house, the materials the estimate is cement, sand, aggregate, or maybe the bricks and many more. And then we have the cost of labor in terms of the wage that we need to pay to the workers. And then we have the cost of tools and plants. For example, for mixing a concrete, the plants or the tools that we need to have is concrete mixer. For excavation, the plants that we need is excavator. So estimating of civil works. The first example for calculation, estimating of excavation work. Excavating work for 1 meter cube of trench and cutting away. Cutting away means once you have excavate, you will have the soil and you move the soil to a different location. So that is cutting away to a distance not exceeding 200 meter. Types of soil is soft material. If the cost of local general unskilled labor is 80 ringgit per day and allowing 50% for profit. So A, you need to estimate the labor cost of excavating 1 meter cube of soft soil, and B, you need to calculate the extra over cost if the material is rock. Alright, so we are going to solve for A, estimate the labor cost of excavating 1 meter cube of soft soil. For this topic, the chapter 4, normally in the final exam, there will be provided the appendix. For example, here I have the question for June 2018, and at the last page there will be appendix. So this appendix you are going to use to solve the question. Alright, so for this example I'm going to use this appendix. Okay, so based on the question previously, we need to determine whether the excavation is manual or by using machine. So look at the question. Here it just stated unskilled labor. If you're referring to the appendix, if it is manual, then you only need to have only one unskilled labor. But if you are using machine for the excavation, you need to have one skilled labor and one unskilled labor. So clearly stated in the question, we only have one unskilled labor, meaning that our excavation is done by manual method. So this one. Next, we are going to determine whether the excavation is for soft material or rock. So stated in the question, the excavation is for soft material. Therefore, to solve the problem, we are going to apply this data for soft material. And other than excavation, the question also touch about the cutting away. Meaning that in order to solve the question, we are going to use information on this cutting away for the soft material. Then we are going to look at the remark here. We are going to choose related information that we are going to use to solve the question. So number one, workers depend on the size of work. Okay. And then skilled worker comprised of driver. So to use average working days of machine. You are not going to use cost of machine. You are going to use because this one is manual. Okay, and then the distance is not exceeding 200 meters. So this is tally with the information based on the question. Right, so first we look at this one. Soft material for manual excavation, the quantity is 1 and 1/3 hours per meter cube. Meaning that in order to excavate 1 meter cube, we need to have to spend 1 hour and 20 minutes. The same thing for cutting waste for soft materials. We are going to spend 1 and 1/3 hours for 1 meter cube. Right, so we look at the solution. First, the labor time involved in excavating 1 meter cube of soft soil. So based on the appendix just now, 1 hour and 20 minutes. And then the labor time involved in cutting away 1 meter cube of soft soil. So based on the appendix, it will be 1 hour and 20 minutes. So the total time you need to spend for excavating and cutting away is, just plus these two, you will get 2 hours and 40 minutes. Based on the question here, the cost for general unskilled labor is 80 ringgit per day. So you have here 80 ringgit. So for 1 day, the labor will only work for 8 hours. So it is based on the labor law that we have in this country. And then in order for us to determine the labor cost per hour, so 80 ringgit is per day, we divide with 8 hours, the working hours per day. So we have the labor cost per hour, it will be 10 ringgit. Just now, you know that for 1 meter cube to excavate and cutting away, the labor we need to spend 2 hours and 40 minutes. So you just multiply with the rate per hour, you will get it is 26 ringgit and 67 cent. Then you need to include the profit, which is 50%. That's why it comes here like this, 1.15, because 100% is this one, 100%, and you need to plus with another 50%. The profit, you plus this one, it will be 150%. So it will be like this, 1.15. So after you multiply, you will get 30 ringgit and 67 cent. So that is for the soft soil. Next, for the question B, calculate the extra over cost if the material is rock. So we need to refer to the appendix. Now we are going to use the information for the rock. And then we look for the excavation. The time spent will be 8 hours for 1 meter cube. The same thing for cutting away. You need to spend 8 hours for 1 meter cube. And the labor is still the same. You only need to have 1 unskilled. The same thing for cutting away. You need to have only 1 unskilled. Based on this solution, labor time involved in excavating 1 meter cube of rock, it will be 8 hours. So it's based on the appendix just now, and then the time involved in cutting away, we refer to the appendix, it will be 8 hours. So total time for excavate and cutting away, it will be 16 hours. And then based on previous calculation just now, the rate for unskilled worker for 1 hour, it will be 10 ringgit per hour. Multiply with 16 hours here and multiply with the profit that you want, 50%, it will be 184 ringgit for material rock. The question is, you need to calculate the extra over cost, meaning that 184 here, you need to minus with the cost for the soil, and the answer, it will be 153 ringgit and 33 cent. That is the extra over cost if the material is rock. Okay, so that's all for this video. Thank you very much.